So now we will move on to the next presentation. I love the team name, Go to Sea Together. So the next presentation is about achieving gender equality of seafarers, amendments to STCW. Please welcome the team Go to Sea Together with me.
Hello everyone, we are team Go to Sea Together.
It is such a great honor to be invited in the final of the mock-IMO contest.
We would like to give a presentation on achieving gender equality for women in maritime.
We aim to encourage gender-equal and harassment-free workplace on the sea. We hope our presentation contributes to take a step closer to human diversity. Please enjoy.
Let's go to sea together.
Good afternoon, honorable chairs, fellow delegates, and distinguished guests. We are the team Go to Sea Together. Today, we are pleased to give a presentation on achieving gender equality in maritime industry. We would like to start with the background first. Let's examine the shortage of seafarers and what IMO has done about it. According to BIMCO and ICS, the seafaring workforce is currently about 26,000 officers shy. By 2026, this number is expected to reach about 90,000. Jury has also predicted a similar shortage, and according to their report, the officer shortfall rate was at around 3% in 2021, and it will exceed 5% by 2026. This graph shows the growth of merchant fleets in the world. Each scenario presented the expected number of the total merchant fleet. In the high-case scenario, which assumes a global economic boom, the expectation is over 80,000. In the baseline scenario, it's still over 79,000. The increase in total fleet inevitably comes with a demand for seafarers. If the seafaring workforce is lacking, then what about female seafarers? There are various reports from different organizations. The percentage of female seafarers varies a bit on the counting method and period, but mostly it is between 1% and 3%. EMSA report from 2020 shows female officers and ratings only make up about 2% and 3% respectively. ITF reports 2%, and it's slightly more than 1% according to BIMCO. Many methods have been employed by the IMO and the industry in general to address these numbers. In 1988, the IMO initiated the Women in Maritime program to achieve gender equality and empower all women and girls on both shore and sea. This has been accelerated by adopting the resolution on World Maritime Theme for 2019. The IMO Assembly in 2021 adopted a resolution proclaiming International Day for Women in Maritime and published the survey. And you can see the report in document TC70. Despite all these efforts, many challenges remain. Here, we present the most commonly reported issues. First, occupational culture and barriers. The maritime industry has been a male-dominated sector for a long time. Masculine culture on board can affect women's appearances and behavior, including their clothing, hairstyle, and way of talking. Women often have to change their identity to fit into the masculine environment and not be seen as weak. Second, inclusion and acceptance from the peers. One of the main challenges for women is a lack of awareness and stereotypes about their abilities. They are often subject to hostility, prejudice, discrimination, and exclusion. The harassment they experience can affect their mental health, which can potentially lead to fatal accidents on board. Third, limited maritime training and hiring. According to SIRC from Cardiff University, some employers remain reluctant to take on women cadets or seafarers just because of the erroneous belief that women work for less time than men. According to BIMCO and ICS, 24 maritime education and training institutions reported no female students, and one reported 40%, and another was just 25%. Some institutions have lifted bans on women's admission, but they are not many. Fourth, sexual harassment and intimidation. This graph is from 2015 Women Seafarers Health and Welfare Survey. All four types of ships showed the response rate close to 20%. Younger women reported more frequently, which means low-rank females are more vulnerable to sexual harassment, or older women don't report it.
The same report confirms 18% of female seafarers have experienced sexual harassment. But the bigger problem is that victims are often reluctant to report their experiences for fear of further harassment or isolation or job loss. Neglecting these kinds of issues lower women's retention rate, which makes the maritime industry a more masculine place. These are the examples of the reported case. Sexual allegations aboard the Maersk Idaho went unreported by the company, which failed to notify the Coast Guard. One US MMA student was raped by her superior officer on a cargo ship. And not only direct sexual offenses, but the viewing and posting of inappropriate visuals in communal spaces are also further forms of sexual harassment. Finally, there's no practical code addressing harassment in STCW. Sexual, verbal, and physical forms of harassment can affect work efficiency and concentration, increasing the risk of fatal accident. New codes educating the dangers of harassment and its effect on mental health are clearly needed. So, Team Go to Sea Together proposes a new approach to solve these challenges. Our team offers a multi-layered solution. The most important solution is a revision of the STCW and the IMO model course, and finally, the conference to transmit the IMO's intention to all maritime industries. So far, the STCW does not have any regulations related to gender equality, discrimination, awareness and understanding of gender differences, sexual minorities, and respect to others. Even though it's a standard of competence in personal safety and social responsibilities, as you can see. We would like to propose the revision of the STCW to tackle the challenges by adding some knowledge about basic understanding and respect for gender differences and emphasizing the importance of maintaining and promoting the crew's mental health. Additionally, our team provides the STCW provisions on promoting harassment-free working environment and gender equality on board ship. By educating the importance of preventing and dealing with harassment, discrimination, sexual harassment, abuse of power, and any form of harmful actions. We also propose the revision of the IMO model course according to the revised STCW. Therefore, we suggest a new direction for the revision of this IMO model course, specifically the IMO model course 1.21, Personal Safety and Social Responsibilities. In the model course, the sixth course covers the contributions to effective human relationship on board ships, social responsibilities. Unsurprisingly, so far, there has been no course against our challenges. 6.5 course, Harassment-Free Work Environment, adds a step closer to our goal. Let's go into a little bit more detail. To create a harassment-free working environment, clear statements on the prevention of any form of discrimination, sexual harassment, and abuse of power is essential for mental health. Stating dangers of problems caused by the harassment is also very important. And finally, the moral responsibility of all onboard crew for a better workplace culture.
We would therefore like to recommend a regular joint conference. As previously mentioned, the IMO has done many things for women's affairs. Nevertheless, we'd say that regular meetings and developing concrete initiatives on empowering women and advancing gender equality between the IMO and related organizations must be held regularly. The IMO must recommend the following to shipping companies and educational institutions in the member states. First, shipping companies must ensure gender equality procedures in recruitment. Through blind recruitment, it is necessary to break down barriers in the recruitment process by evaluating only the qualities and abilities of seafarers. Also, shipping companies should conduct physical and mental health checkups in the working environment of the crew on board. We believe that checking the crew's condition can prevent any challenges on board. Second, educational institutions such as maritime universities should provide conditions for female students to demonstrate their capabilities even after graduation. To expand the opportunity to become an officer, the number of recruits in the admission process of maritime educational institutions should be increased. In addition, these institutions also need to strengthen their intensive training and practice programs for students to secure skilled shipping professionals. Our recommendation falls on MSC's SD6, address the human elements as shown. Recognizing this, we would like to submit this proposal here in MSC. Our efforts apply to the object of UN SDGs' fifth goal, which is to achieve gender equality and empower all women and girls. In that sense, our proposal is meaningful. Women's economic empowerment is one of the most fundamental components of achieving gender equality and women's empowerment more broadly. We'd like to highlight that there can be no robust growth economy without gender equality, which is a critical ingredient of any strategy for durable, resilient, and more inclusive growth. According to OECD Forum, investment in women boosts economic development, competitiveness, job creation, and GDP. Also, if women participate in the economy with men, it would add up to the annual global GDP in 2025. On this particular aspect, Go to See Together would like to highlight the importance of women's empowerment. Lastly, our suggestion contribute to the achievement of social and governance parts of ESG. For the social aspect, it could be harassment preventing education, effective human relationships and workforce efficiency, and a truly inclusive and supportive environment. Next, for the governance part, diversity of board members, provision of equal opportunities, and government-private cooperations are suggested. Within the framework of revision to STCW, the model course of IMO, and regular joint conferences, Go to See Together believe that we can take a step closer to achieving gender equality in maritime society. Half of all humans are women. Since we're human beings, both men and women must be guaranteed the same rights. Therefore, the maritime industry needs to continue to understand and pay attention to gender equality on board. Make life at sea better for everyone, and let's go to sea together. Thank you.
Thank you, Team Go to See Together, for dealing with gender equality, which is very important issues in this maritime industry. So, I'd like to open the floor first, our judge, and then I will open the floor to our participants next. Are there any comments and questions? Yes, please.
Thank you, and congratulations for a very comprehensive presentation. Yeah, as presented by the previous team methodology, in the near future, actually, as you know, the mass ship are being operated widely. So such kinds of mass-related ship operation maybe facilitate the women's participation in maritime sectors. Why don't you consider in designing the future plan, especially in relation to the mass-related ship industry? Thank you. That's my comment.
Thank you for your thoughtful comments to our presentation.
Can you please just give us a second?
Yes, we understand your question, and yeah.
Yeah, basically, I had another question, just made a
Just
comment.
about
You
mass.
needed to accept
Yes,
my
yes.
purpose. Thank you.
Actually, we have
Thank you.
Yes, Dr. Park, can I have a small clarifications for their presentation? As a facilitator, I have a small clarifications. You mentioned about the gender equalities. You mentioned about the harassment and discrimination on board, but the harassment things and discrimination can also apply for male, not only for female. So are you specifically for the female, or are you focusing on both male and female on board in terms of gender equality?
it's a question.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
your
yeah.
questions.
Yeah,
That's
we
your
have,
questions.
The phrase. Thank you for your question. And the phrase "basic understanding for gender differences" is also for sexual minorities and males and every other genders. And other expression, all members, means every human being on board, including male, female, and social minorities in the presentation.
So it's not only for the women, right?
Yes.
Just for the general,
Yes.
right? Okay, thank you. Yes, Dr. Park.
Yeah, thank you for your interesting presentation. Actually, the moderator is an expert for the education and training for the seafarer. That is why she have questions. And so, very good questions. And so the simple questions to your team name is Go to Sea Together. Yeah? The meaning, I think, is go to sea, get a job, or get a meal. What means to the go to sea come together? That is our first, the simple question. Another one is to the very, very important to the empowering woman and as a seafarer on board. What is the most necessary capacity building for the woman empowering in the part in the maritime sector? Maybe, as my understanding is just only to the seafarer. No, I think is expansion to the job in the maritime sector, and more, I think so. Is what is the most appropriate to the item and the capacity building field in the maritime sector?
Could you please explain second question again, please?
What is the most appropriate for the woman seafarer in the maritime field?
Actually, our team thinks most of the field, because maritime industry is moving to automate its operations as the other teams presented, and so it's being more reliant on remote operations. So the roles expected to be more complex and demanding greater knowledge of every seafarers. So not just a specific field, just all field, and not based on gender, based on skills and knowledge and competency.
In terms of the gender equality, what is the difference? Is why the woman seafarer is needed to some specific IMO model course? What is the lack of the education part?
You mean the needs of you code for women?
Yes, program or the capacity building part.
Yes, I believe it's a really critical comment, but it cannot be responded at this place because it's a really critical point that you have to deal with in this paper. So I really hope you to answer in these questions later. So I really want to open the floor to your colleague as well because they have a lot of questions for this. Yes, can I invite Pare Malhet? Thank you. Yes, please.
Thank you for the thoughtful, provoking presentation. Your team slightly mentioned a bit about the benefits of hiring female seafarers. However, I believe that that alone is not enough to convince an industry that is primarily masculine to change. Could you give us more examples and go into more details about the benefits of hiring more female seafarers? Thank you.
First of all, thank you, Fatemare, for a good question. But can you repeat the question again, please?
Sure.
Could you please speak up?
Yes, okay. So could you give us more examples and go into more detail about the benefits of hiring more female seafarers?
Okay, thank you again for your thoughtful question. First of all, there's no direct benefit from hiring women. This is because men and women are equal in the aspect of performance of work, but
In addition, there are indirect benefits of promoting diversity. Briefly, closing gender gaps is key to achieving the 2013 Agenda for Sustainable Development, and it also falls on corporate social responsibility. And corporate social responsibility is indicated in the ISO 26000 as a marketable element, which means companies can use it as their marketing strategy. And also, Fidelity reports say that achieving ESG contributes to corporate performance and higher profitability. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have another card. Keep going on. The mother's player. So could you please ask questions?
Thank you for the opportunity and your interesting presentation. We are sure that all of us having the same concern regarding the gender equality, especially the sexual harassment. Recently, through the MSc 105th session Agenda 16, a proposal of human element training and watchkeeping regarding the sexual assault and harassment was proposed. So the proposal was made between the ILO and IMO. We wonder what is the main difference between your proposal and the last proposal that was proposed. Thank you.
thank you, Mother's Prayers, for a thoughtful question. Could you give us for a second, please? Thank you.
So, you said about ILO's ILO, and the reason that we are amending this to STCW and IMO is because it's most relevant to train seafarers, and it can be the best effective way to train and make a change in the maritime industry for gender equality, especially for women in maritime. Thank you for your question.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Because due to the limited time frame, we cannot entertain more questions. But I think this is really important issues that we can deal with in the future. So we hope to continue our discussions in other places. Thank you very much, the team Go to the Sea. And thank you so much for your big effort.